So, today we're going to dive into something a little different. It's a guide that honestly is unlike most others out there. It's a workbook that's not designed to give you answers, but instead to help you find a little more clarity. Think of it as a journey where the destination, well, it isn't really the point at all. And right out of the gate, it hits you with its core philosophy. Most self-help tools are all about progress, about getting solutions. This workbook, it takes a completely different road. Like it says right here, it is not about finding the answers. It's less about solving a puzzle and more about just noticing the pieces as they are. So, to make this crystal clear, it really defines itself by what it is, and maybe more importantly, what it isn't. On one hand, it's a space for you to think and notice, to keep a record of what feels alive for you. But on the other hand, and this is so important, it's not a textbook you have to master, it's not a therapy program, and it's definitely not some spiritual doctrine you have to believe in. It's meant to be a companion, not a commander. Okay, so if there are no answers, how are you even supposed to use it? Well, that brings us to the rules of engagement, which really are more like gentle invitations. It's all about a process that doesn't demand anything from you. And look at these instructions. They're so simple, and they're all about giving you permission. Read slowly, pause. You can even skip things that don't resonate. This whole approach values your present moment engagement so much more than just checking a box and getting it done. The real invitation is to trust how things feel for you right now, not what you think you should be feeling. So this brings us to the foundational belief of the entire workbook. The goal isn't progress or fixing things. It operates on this one, single, really powerful assumption. Attention changes what it touches. That's it. The simple act of paying gentle, non-judgmental attention is, in itself, completely transformative. All right, let's walk through the actual structure of this thing, which is laid out over a weekend, starting with Friday evening. This first session is all about just arriving, transitioning out of our usual goal-driven mindset. The whole process kicks off with a series of releases. First up, as you see here, there's no prep work. You don't need to come with anything figured out. And then, even bigger than that, the pressure to fix or improve yourself. It's completely off the table. This is about letting go of all those typical expectations we carry around. And it all lands on this one powerful point. The only thing that's asked of you is the one thing you already have, your attention. It's this profound shift from doing something to just being present. So you're not expected to believe or agree with anything you find in here. Instead, the invitation is much simpler. Just notice honestly. Stay curious, go at your own speed, and let the questions work on you instead of you feeling like you have to work on them. And this is where the magic really happens, you know? It's not about reaching some grand conclusion. It's about what happens inside you. Does a prompt pull you in? Does it push you away? Does it feel familiar? That reaction, that is the data. Noticing that response is the entire point. Okay, so Saturday rolls around and we get to the core activity, engaging with what are called living questions. And the goal here isn't to answer them, but to discover which ones already have some energy or relevance in your life, right at this moment, right? And this quote, this really gets to the why of this exercise. So often, we're driven by these deep underlying questions we're not even aware of. Questions about our worth, our purpose, our safety. This whole process is about making those unconscious drivers visible. Not to solve them, but just to see them clearly. So the questions are presented on these cards, but it's so important to get this. They aren't tests. They're not puzzles you need to figure out. As it says right here, they are simply mirrors. Their only job is to reflect back what's already present inside of you. So here's how the main exercise works. It's just a simple sorting process. You pause, you notice your body, your breath. You read each question slowly, and then you just sort them into 3 piles based on your gut feeling, high, medium, or low priority. And the key instruction, trust your body more than your mind. Your mind will try to rationalize to pick the right question, but your body, that gut feeling, your body knows. So, after spending the morning working with all these questions, the afternoon shifts gears a bit. We move from encountering questions to observing our beliefs, but with that very same gentle, non-judgmental attention. The whole idea here is to get your beliefs out of your head where they feel like you and onto a piece of paper where you can just look at them. This lets you see them not as these fixed truths you have to defend, but just as patterns you happen to hold. The exercise is all about witnessing, not fixing. And then, as Saturday comes to a close, the energy changes completely. The focus moves away from all the active sorting and mapping and shifts towards rest and integration. It's an invitation to notice what's present when you finally stop trying to figure everything out. And this brings up a really key definition of awareness. It's not presented as something you have to achieve or create. It's described as this silent presence that's just always there, before thought. It's the part of you that simply watches, without arguing, without trying to improve anything, and without ever going away. And this quote, wow, this just brings it all home. After a whole day of looking at questions and looking at beliefs, the focus pivots inward. Who is this one that's been doing all the noticing? It's this incredible shift in perspective, from the content of your mind to the awareness that's holding it all.
All right, so we've made it to Sunday morning. And the goal here isn't to wrap everything up with a perfect bow to create a neat summary. It's about synthesis, about choosing what feels important enough to carry forward, gently, into your life.
You know that feeling when you have a big aha moment and you try to desperately hold on to it? Well, this is the exact opposite of that. The real work isn't trying to preserve the experience. It's about continuing to notice your relationship with whatever is left over, the questions, the feelings, the uncertainties that are still there. And I love this part because it sets such realistic expectations for when you go back to your life. Your old patterns, they'll probably show up again. The shifts you feel might be really subtle. But here's the most liberating part. Nothing needs to be maintained. The process trusts that whatever is truly important will stick around without you having to force it. And so we're left with this one final question, a question that perfectly captures the entire philosophy of this journey. In a world that is constantly demanding answers and solutions, this workbook leads you with a totally different kind of challenge. What if you could find peace and even power in letting some things remain beautifully, perfectly unresolved?